I haven't played Minecraft in over 2 years. Another thing about me is that I really enjoy reading Reddit stories, but today I wanted to read some scary ones. So I figured I'd read some scary stories that you guys sent to me while I try and see if I can beat Minecraft. Okay, so the first one sent to me says, "My mom has been cheating on me." Look, I don't want to get weird, but me and my mom are close. Not too close. At least, I hope. But close nonetheless. My dad left when I was 6. I can't even be mad. They were young. Mom was 15. He was 16. Just two dumb kids who thought they were in love. Then boom, here comes a me. Even so, I still kinda gotta hand it to the man. He at least stuck around through the toddler years, and those are some of the worst. I guess by my 6th birthday, though, he'd had his fill of the family life. Whatever. He and Mom didn't seem to even like each other anyway. The constant fighting, the hitting, the shoving. Even as a child, I could clearly see the dysfunction. And the day he left, it was like me and my mom made a pact with each other. She'd support me now, and in return, I'd support her when she reached those regression years. That's the thing, though. That was our pact, no one else's. I expected she'd honor it, and for a long time, she actually did. Packing my lunch, taking me to school, reading my bedtime stories. It was perfect. It was our thing. She even went as far as to make me the man of the house. Of course, that wasn't until I turned 16, though. She couldn't just have some little rascal running around thinking he's the boss. She sealed the deal when she let me sip her wine with her. It was like our celebration, my induction into manhood. And I loved it. I loved her silk turquoise robe, the way her hair lay lazily in a messy bun, that gorgeous tipsy smile she'd flashed at my excitement. It was all even more exciting than the wine. Oh, and the way she spoke to me. Her words dripping from her lips as she told me just how proud she was of me. How happy I'd made her, and how she wouldn't trade me for the world. She tucked me in extra tight that night, petting me like a dog before planting a long kiss on my forehead. She left the door open a crack, allowing the light from the hallway to act as a nightlight. I had feelings that night I can't describe. For what felt like the first time in my life, I actually felt proud of myself. I had become someone that another person needed, and that fact thrilled me to my bones. From that day forward, I was at my mother's side, taking her coat, running her baths, cooking her dinners. I had made it my life's mission to tend to her every need and desire. I played the part perfectly. Every morning, waking up beside my one true love in this world felt like a gift, a reward for my efforts. And for 10 years, Mom seemed to feel the same. Unfortunately, recently, I'm starting to think there's someone else. A new son that she's trying her best to keep hidden. Oh, but there's no fooling me. This woman is my life. I've been able to read her like a book since I was 16. Did she really think I wouldn't notice? Did she think that her forcing me to sleep in my own bed wouldn't rouse suspicion? Or that I wouldn't hear the noises coming from her room at odd hours of the night? Her sneaking in some mystery son while she thinks I'm sleeping? Please. I hope she knows that I've seen his car through my curtains several times. Why? Why does he get to have his license? You refused to let me get mine for years because you were scared I would leave you, yet here he is, taunting me. I hope she's reading this, but I know she's not, because I can see her right now. I can see both of them. I think I'm going to have a chat with her, clear things up. She just needs to understand that he's not right for her. He's a fake, home-wrecking imposter. And I'm her one true baby boy. This next Reddit story is about an OnlyFans experience. It says, I started an OnlyFans page. Yeah, go ahead and laugh. I know. I know that this is a great way for someone to destroy their own life, if they're not careful. I'm trying my best to not go that route. And besides, it's not like I'm showing my private parts on Maine. I'm not out here exploiting myself to get a few bucks from some creep jerking off alone in his bathroom while his wife and 3 kids sleep peacefully. I'm not even nude most of the time. And, if I'm being honest, a lot of my subscribers probably go above and beyond what would be considered the norm for your average sicko. These people are depraved in every sense of the word. As fate would have it, these are some of the highest paying people I've ever had the displeasure of putting on shows for. I mean, seriously, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my entire life. And you want to know why? It's because I'm unique. I knew that if I was going to go this route, I was going to have to go all in. No half measures. And that's a hard thing to do in such a saturated field. I guess I do have a bit of an unfair advantage, though. And no, it's not a third leg. Couldn't be that lucky. No, my advantage goes beyond the usual thirst traps all over social media these days. I was born with a one-of-a-kind condition. I regrow appendages. Fingers, toes, other things. You name it, I regrow it. It started off as a party trick. I'd just cut straight through my pinky while onlookers watched in disgust. They'd see me at school a few days later with all 5 fingers, and the looks on their faces, priceless. Pretty quickly, it became evident that this trick was enough to draw a crowd. It helped with my popularity so much that I started thanking God every night for blessing me with such a gift. Popularity doesn't always pay the bills, though. After high school, all I became was just some weirdo who could cut a finger off. I got to thinking, though, hey, if people will pay to watch a puppy get stepped on, then there's got to be a market for this somewhere. And there you have it. There's your origin story. It was downhill from the very first video, which, if I'm being honest, was ironically unexpected after that first upload only got a handful of views. Even so, from those 400 viewers, 10 of them tipped me in the triple digits. Each. I mean, come on, I'm a slut for validation. Anyway, it started, of course, with just fingers. Sawing through flesh and bone while some psycho watched from what I'd assume is probably some dark shed somewhere while eating pistachios or whatever other snack evil has to offer. Wasn't long till the people demanded more, though. Toes, ears, other things. And like the good little boy I am, of course I obliged. My freaking rent was getting paid, dude. Are you kidding me? I had to draw the line somewhere between my ankle and thigh, though. I was lucky when the foot grew back the first time. I should have never gone past that ankle. But some dude named Big Danny 69 paid me $750 to saw through my calf. I guess that was the limit because I'm still waddling around on this peg leg. But hey, I still got another leg. And from what I've learned, amputee is another high-paying genre. This third Reddit story that was sent to me really scared me when I first read it. And honestly, it still does. It says, I think my daughter's imaginary friend is real. I'm not exactly an expert on imaginary friends, but even I can tell you that they're supposed to be imaginary. I mean, duh, right? That's what I told myself when my daughter started mentioning hers, telling me all about their adventures together and what fun games they'd play when my daughter got home from school in the afternoons. It mostly included tea parties, hopscotch, and dress-up, but there were a few she told me about that kinda didn't really make sense to me. Take hide and seek, for example. How exactly are you going to hide from someone who's not visible, let alone seek them? But, like I said, I just chalked it up to her imagination running wild. And what further cemented that belief was the fact that we had only just buried her dog 2 weeks before she started talking about this made-up friend of hers. We never told her about the accident, how I had mistakenly backed my car over her little puppy while in a rush to get to work. We knew it would crush her to find out, so we lied. Told her that her little Maxie had run away, that we'd put up flyers, and that he'd come home soon. I think that's what caused her to create her own companion, someone that would be by her side for as long as she let them. But who was I to judge? Who was I to crush my baby's dreams after literally killing her best friend in the world? I just let her do her thing. All the better if it kept her from prying about what happened to Maxie. It worked for a while. Hell, part of me wondered if she even missed the dog. She hadn't so much as mentioned his name. Things started to get shaky, though, when I came home from work one day to find my little girl sitting alone with her tea kit spread out in front of her. She wore a cute little princess tiara and dress we got her for Christmas last year, and it was honestly a melancholic moment. I wished I could have been there to see her get all dressed up. Her face didn't match the outfit, though. She looked pissed. "Emily told me Maxie isn't coming back," she snapped. "She said that you lied about him running away and that he's never coming back." I was dumbstruck. I had literally just walked into the house. "Honey, no," I pouted. "Daddy would never lie to you about something like that. Look, come here. Let me hold—" "Wait." Her words finally fully registered. "Who is Emily? You know who Emily is, you big fat meanie," she cried, scrunching her face into a ball. "She's my best friend since you took Maxie." Before I could reply, she ran off towards her bedroom, announcing, "Come on, Emily, let's play somewhere else." To say I was shocked would be an understatement. I thought that maybe my wife had been talking about it with one of her friends, and maybe my daughter overheard, so my first thought was to ask her. However, she flat out denied it before I could even finish my question. "Yeah, she's been talking about that since she got home from school. It was bound to happen sooner or later, don't worry." Right, 'cause that's the part I was worried about. My daughter avoided me like the plague that night. I seriously had never felt so dead to her. Even still, I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. I just tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and switched on her nightlight like usual. Before I went to bed that night, there were a million thoughts circulating around in my mind, most of which were about how I'd tell my daughter what had really happened. I still couldn't think of the words, but I made a promise to myself that I'd tell her the next night whether I was ready or not. Unfortunately, that plan was dissolved when, around 3 o'clock that morning, I was awoken by my wife shaking me while screaming. "Roxy's gone," she screeched. "I just checked her bed and she's not there. I've looked around the entire house." This had me jumping out of bed before my brain could even register what was happening. Luckily for us, the search didn't last that long. We didn't have to call the police. We didn't have to garner a search team. All we had to do was check our backyard. That's where we found her, kneeling over Maxie's grave in her pink Hello Kitty pajamas. When I saw her, all I could do was scoop her up in my arms and hold her close while I cried. To my dismay, she started actively fighting to get away from me, screaming, kicking, and clawing. And in the chaos, I saw the source of her anger. Maxie's grave had been dug up, and his corpse lay beside it, rotten, bones exposed, and maggots had already made his body their new all-you-can-eat buffet. Once my wife took my daughter from my arms and she settled down enough to finally speak, all she had to say was, "Why did Emily show me and not you?" This next Reddit story wasn't sent to me, but I figured I'd add a bonus one and read it before I try to beat the Ender Dragon. It says, "I think my neighbor is stealing bodies from the cemetery. See, my neighbor's wife died a few months ago. It was a pretty big ordeal for really the entire neighborhood. They were a pretty active couple in the community. At her funeral, everyone showed up, but I don't think anyone cried nearly as hard as he did. His grief was just so radiant that seeing him cry made everyone else cry. We didn't see much of him after that. His lawn started getting overgrown, His mailbox became stuffed with old magazines and envelopes. We never knew what to say to him. However, a few weeks ago is when things started looking a little suspicious. It was a dark and rainy night, and I had been glancing out my living room window at the weather when I saw him. He was wearing what looked to be a trench coat, but what caught my eye the most was the shovel he had slung over his shoulder. He tossed it in the back seat of his car before burning rubber out of the neighborhood. I thought it was a little weird, sure, but it wasn't something I was immediately concerned about. I mean, why would I be? However, the next morning, when I saw his car was now covered in mud and that a rigid-looking woman was sitting out on his front porch wearing the same black dress and face cover as his wife from the day we buried her, red flags started popping up in my brain. She never moved, not once. Well, that is, until we all started to notice the smell. It was like it blanketed the entire neighborhood. I think my neighbor noticed that we noticed, and after that, I stopped seeing her out on the porch. It seemed like my neighbor was getting better, though. He started getting back to his old self, greeting me every morning with a wave and a smile. Now, just because I said I didn't see the woman on the porch anymore doesn't mean I didn't see her again. It was like he was setting her up, moving her all around the house. One day, I'd see her in his bedroom window. The next, I'd see her propped up against the couch, always wearing the same black dress and face cover. I guess I just didn't want to think about it. I wanted to just push my intuition to the back of my brain and leave it buried there until this whole thing blew over. But it didn't blow over. If anything, it just got worse. Ever since that lady first appeared, I started watching my neighbor's house intently. He was an older guy, must have retired years ago. The only time I saw him leave his house was at night. And every time I saw him, he was carrying that shovel. Every time he came back, there'd be a new person in one of his windows. He'd play music some nights, and only his shadow would dance. That's when we started seeing the news articles, the reports of grave robberies and corpses going missing. Everything started clicking into place. Like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But from the smell of the neighborhood and the amount of eyes that seemed to constantly be watching me from his windows, I think I may have a suspect. I'll call authorities tomorrow, but for now, I hope I'm wrong.